In the last podcast, we talked about community and speaking out, making sure there's people around us who are able to listen. And so I wanted to follow up that with a conversation today on truly the importance of community, because there's this thing that happens when people in our lives pass away. Literally, people around us, people who just knew of us from high school, all that, they will all come out of the woodworks to give their condolences, and it's a beautiful gesture. I'm not speaking against it, but what happens is around the time of the passing, up until the funeral, you start to feel like, oh, I have this community of people around me. And then after the funeral, people go back to their regular lives, as they should. They weren't necessarily in your life beforehand, and so they're not necessarily going to be the ones to be there afterwards. But then you also have the situation where even some of the closest people around you make you feel isolated because they just don't know what to say. They don't know how to act, and they start to kind of act weird. And so I wanted to talk about loss of community. How in one moment it can feel like you're loved and on top of the world, and you can get through this because you have people around you. And in the next season, you feel completely alone. It is as if they all deserted you. They all left you. And just trying to process the highs and lows of that can be extremely overwhelming. Because we as a society, especially here in the Western, well, in general, we were created to live in communities, live with other people. But especially in this Western world, we've adapted a notion of like no new friends or work. And it's really isolated us from other people. It's really caused us to kind of live alone, but then just check in every now and then when we need it. And see, the thing with just checking in only when you need support is that we don't often foster good communication or good narratives. And so it leaves the other person feeling used or just not knowing how to show up for you for real, because that's never been established. And when we go through a period of loss, we expect, whether it's like the death of somebody or the loss of a job, the loss of a relationship, we expect people around us to have compassion and to extend their hand to us. But like, if we never fostered that before this time, how do we have such great expectations afterwards? And even in my case, where I did have really great friendships, when my son passed, I was 25. The maturity level of those around me wasn't necessarily, and I'm not talking about age. I was young, but I had young and old around me. And there wasn't a particular age who knew how to manage the death of a child, who knew what to say or who knew how to be helpful in that moment. And so I believe I mentioned this before. A lot of the weight was put on me. A lot of people were just like, all right, hit me up when you need me. Well, that's great for you, because you feel like you don't want to like cross the line or be too much. But for a person going through loss, we might need you all the time. We might need you at many different times, but not know how to express it, not know how to reach out because the pain is too heavy. And so to add another layer of responsibility on a person who just lost something is a little selfish. You're expecting somebody whose whole world has crashed to be the person to hit you up and say, hey, how's it going? Let's talk. Like, that just don't make no sense to me. And so it can be a real mind shifter when on top of the loss of whatever the thing is or person, we then lose community. We then lose a sense of identity. We then lose a sense of what's going on. Like, we lose our focus and just the things around us. It's a really unfair part of loss. But at the same time that it's unfair, it also leads way to something that can be so beautiful. Meaning, it can open up so much. I just think of my best friend right now. That's why I'm pausing. And she just went through something. I won't put her business on here. But that resulted in a loss. But the beauty of everything that has opened up right after. Yes, it was painful. And yes, I'm like, I walked through this with her. But the beauty of where she is today, because she chose to walk and be consistent in prayer and moving through, she wouldn't have experienced the beauty of this other side without going through the loss and the pain. And so sometimes when our community and the things are shifted or taken from us, it opens the door to something better and more beautiful. And so not everything in life is sucky. Not everything in life is caused to hurt us or to be like detrimental to us, even when it hurts. Some things in life are broken, but they heal beautifully. When it comes to community, I think the best thing is really, as the Bible says, looking at the fruit of a person, examining the fruit of the people around us. Because there's certain things that we kind of just let slide. We kind of just like, that'll be okay. Like, yeah, that bothers me, but nobody's perfect. That's everybody's line. Nobody's perfect, so we'll just let it slide. And the thing about that is, cool. When everything's going good, yeah, that sounds real good. But when everything's going bad, when things are mashing up, when things are going left, those same people who you were choosing not to judge or choosing not to ask more of, those are the same ones that kind of just like desert you. Those are the same ones who kind of just like, well, they didn't know how to be there in one season, and or even if they did, in this next season, they can't handle the heat. They're not able to walk through the fire with you. Now, granted, some seasons we will have to walk alone. I 100% believe that. But there's other seasons where we need somebody to walk with us. We need somebody to hold us up. We need somebody to be mindful and open to lending a hand. We can't all walk through everything by ourselves. Like, we are literally created to be in community. When I think of different communities, like the African community, I'm like, yo, they really ride for each other. They really hold each other up. They really support one another, and it's beautiful. And then I think of some other cultures. I'm Jamaican, and so back in Jamaica, though, they do have a sense of community more so than here in Canada, because here in Canada, when everyone emigrated, it just kind of just like felt like everyone kind of just lost that. Unless you live in a multicultural area, unless you live amongst other people where that's something that is fostered. When you move up to where I am in the suburb, it's almost like every man to himself. And when it's every man to himself, there is less of a sense of love and community, and there's more of a sense of you got to be independent. You got to push yourself through this. You got to pull yourself through. And I'm thinking of one particular individual that I know of, call him Uncle. And he left Jamaica, came here with a wife and kids, and that sense of community was gone. I really had a challenging time with it. And in the end, ended up moving right back to Jamaica. And it's happy and it's thriving. And so sometimes we think it's so much better on the other side of the world or other communities. But depending on how they live, it may not jive with what's going on in our world. And so there's a real cost to losing community. There's a real cost to not building up people around us who will support us. And that we can also pour into. It's not just about what can they do for us, but it is a two-way street. Like, what can we do for them as well? How do we pour back into them? And it's a thing that when it comes to grief, people don't talk about. Like, in the last, I don't know, like 9-10 years, as I've observed people around me who have also lost people, they've all said the same thing. Oh, it was great when people were around me, but then after the funeral, they left. And the calls became less frequent, and the check-ins became less. And there wasn't as much people lifting me up because, not just me, them, that's what they say. Because it almost seems like the people are like, oh, you're so strong, you're handling this okay. And people have this notion that, well, if they really needed help, they would reach out. The people in my life who truly made a difference at the time that my son passed were the people who injected themselves in my life. The people who wanted to be a part of my life, the people who made themselves a part of my life, the people who didn't get offended that I wasn't reaching out, but they reached out before I could. They reached out for me. Because as I was healing, I always remember those people. I always remember the people who didn't need a reason, didn't need an excuse, didn't need a day to reach out. I always laugh, to be honest. I love these people, but I always laugh at the people who only hit me up when I post about my son's birthday or his celebration of life day. Those are the times they check in. They're like, hey, I'm just checking in, making sure you're okay. And more times I'm like, I'm good today. Y'all should have checked on me like any other time, right? To see if I'm good. Like, that means more to me when you're hitting me up in between times. Like, yes, I'm not saying don't hit me up on that day as well. But like, if that's the only day you hit me, if that's the only day I come to mind because you saw my post on social media, I'm like, what kind of community is that? It's not. And so I've been learning through this building back of life the importance of community, the importance of having the right friends around me, the right friends who are going to nurture what it is that I do, who are going to nurture where it is that I'm at, who are going to honor the space that I'm in and not make me feel weird about it and not make me feel alone about it either. I will always have God, but I realize now that I should always have community. And it doesn't have to be big. It really doesn't. Sometimes a lot of us feel like we are losing out if we don't have like 10 best friends and like thousands of people around us, right? But like, with just the one or two, there can still be something beautiful. Do you know how solid it is to have just one or two people who consistently check in on you and you do the same for them? I think of Jesus. Jesus had 12 disciples, but 3 that were really close to him. 3 out of the 12. Now, yes, he had community. He had people around him, but 3 that he was really close to. So it really just shows us that we don't need a whole lot in this world. We just need the ones that matter. We just need to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to know who these people are inside and out before we invite them into our lives. We need to know that truly through thick and thin, they will be there. And it's okay to let people go who weren't able to be there or didn't measure up to that. We don't have to hold on to things just for the sake of it. I'm really learning and understanding that we don't have to hold on to things and people just for the sake of it. We can be okay letting them go. And so I love that I'm building community. I pray that my community grows, that I meet more people, not for the sake of just wanting a large community, but I love people's stories and being around different perspectives. It really helps us to mature. It really helps us shift our mindsets that we're not always in one-way thinking. And so it's a beautiful way to honor the life that God has given us. When God says, love thy neighbor, the fact that that's the second commandment, he doesn't say love thy neighbor because we just live in isolation. Like, he knew that we'd be around people who would be your neighbor physically, next door neighbors, or just in general, people who we see on the street who we can be kind to. And so with that being the second commandment that is truly important, I mean, they're all important, but the second one that when that man asked Jesus, like, what are the first or what are the 2 important commandments? That means that we're called to be in community with people. We're not called to be by ourselves. The loss of community is something that can be really detrimental. It can add another layer of pain on top of an already painful situation. And it really doesn't matter if, like I said, the losses of a person, of a job, of a relationship, like the process of grief feel similar. There's depths to it. But losing someone, sorrow, grief, like those are all healing. Those are all processes that are similar in nature. And so I implore you today to take a look at your community, take a look at the people around you, take a look at, is this who I want around me? Is this who's going to be with me through thick and thin? Because we never think of this until we go through something. We honestly never question if the people around us are good until we're going through a hard time, and then we're stuck standing by ourselves and we're like, what the heck? Like, where everybody at? Then we realize, man, people ain't this, people ain't that. And then we start getting offended. We start getting hurt. We start feeling betrayed. And that's when we start taking an examination of our life. But I want us to do more than that. I want us to start before anything ever happens, so that if it ever happens, we'll be ready. If it ever happens, we will have the safeguards that we need. They don't build cars and just say, well, you know what? We'll think about that after an accident. They build it with the safety measures. They build it hoping that if you ever do get into an accident, it won't completely fall apart on you. It won't completely tear you down. And it's the same thing with people in community. We build communities around us with the belief that if anything were to happen, the same village will hold me up. The same village will hold me together. The same village will be the strength when I have no strength. And so I love y'all. I love y'all. This is a great conversation for me to have, because I'm truly like in awe of how God has been building my community back, and I love it. I may not have ever thought I could get here, but it is such a beautiful space to be. For years, I went without having like a best friend. Like the best friend I used to have, we kind of went through a process where we just grew apart, and that was really hard on me, more than I think I've ever expressed to her. But I also just had a whole bunch of just different things going on. I was growing, right? And we just didn't grow together. We grew in opposite directions, and relationships take two people to make the effort. And I feel at some point I took offense to different things, and I kind of let that be the direction that I took. And now as I'm growing, I'm like, we talk things out, communicate, value what it is that I have, value what is in front of me, knowing that this is necessary. And also examine the fruits. Like I said, I examine the fruits of all the people that come into my life now. And even just recently, having lost another friendship, I'm like, I'm okay with that. But I'm like, you know what, God, I really need to make sure that when people come into my life, certain things that I notice, I need to make sure if that's a deal breaker for me, I'm not settling. That I don't just say, well, that's just what it is. But I truly recognize that I can have better. I do deserve better. And better in terms of community, not in terms of people. I'm not throwing no shade. Better in terms of I just value myself and value the people around me. They say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And it may be corny, but it is so true. When you look at the people around you, you can see why your life has gone in a certain direction sometimes. When you look at the people around you, you can see why the mentalities are the same. When you look at the people around you, you can see what are your conversations? What are you talking about? Like, what are the things that you guys are going after? And so community is beautiful. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Kola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.